I thought there was a number of things I thought, in particular offensively, that I thought we did well. I thought we ran the ball well. Our red zone efficiency was really good when we were down there in the red area. We were able to score touchdowns. We were better on third down, and yet I still think we need to be better than we were in the game. Defensively, I don't think we were very good. We had one takeaway in the game, which was a positive. And I thought we were better in the run game in the first half. And then in the second half, I don't think we did a very good job of stopping the run. So we kind of, switched positions a little bit, and that we didn't do a very good job defending the passing game, and weren't able to get much of a rush in the first half. And then in the second half, I thought, we did a little bit better job of, getting a little bit of rush and defending in the passing game, but didn't do a good enough job in the run game. So, but look, I think we had, I think it was a good, training camp. I think we got a lot accomplished. And I think we've got some tough decisions to make over the next 48 hours or whatever the case may be. And so, we'll be kind of turning our attention to doing that.
Yes, I know you got a record to pay for today, but how do you feel about this overall quarterback? How do you like that?
Yeah, well, I would say, I'd say over the last, week to 10 days, I feel like Hainer took a real big step forward in practice. I don't think we saw as much of that in the game. Now, what are the reasons why, whether it be routes or protections or misreads or whatever the case may be? I think we go back and we look at the tape and evaluate where that was. I thought Spencer, did some nice things today. I thought he looked, calm, poised, made some good throws, was able to extend some plays with his feet, get some first downs, by tucking and running. So, yeah, I felt good about, and feel good about the quarterback room.
And can you explain the plan with the quarterback rotation today and kind of why specifically like Jake got those last two drives after?
Well, look, the plan going in was Jake in the first quarter, Spencer in the second quarter, and really trying to twofold, get them with, the second kind of offensive line group, where they're kind of playing with the same people and playing against a higher level of competition, on the other side to try to, kind of make this thing a little bit more of a fair evaluation. The second half was designed to be Jake in the third quarter, Spencer in the fourth quarter, and then when you started to look at the play count, I think Spencer was at 27, 28 plays or something like that, and Jake was, 15 to 18 plays, something. So I kind of wanted to even up the play count a little bit.
Dave, regardless of who ends up being the backup, like if you wanted to, is there a way to get all three of them snaps so both Jake and Spencer keep developing during the season? I know sometimes it's like the second guy gets all the look and then the third guy kind of waits. Like, is there a way to
Well, yeah, look, I mean, that'll be something that we'll have to navigate if that's the case. But yeah, I think to your point, being able to work with these young quarterbacks and develop these young quarterbacks, that's our job. That's what we've got to be able to do. So we've got to figure out how we're going to be able to get that done.
Dennis, how emotional is it going to be next couple of days? And you got to cut down maybe players on the bubble.
Yeah, look.
And then how gratifying the other way.
Yeah.
Somebody in the team.
Yeah. Well, here's the reality. The reality is that you go from 90 guys on your roster and you have to get all the way down to 53. And so that's always tough. And look, these guys have worked extremely hard. Go all the way back to the beginning of the off-season program, through the OTAs, mini camp, training camp, preseason games. Like, these guys put their heart and soul into this. Young guys, vet guys, and so it's always it's always a tough deal. And on the flip side, as you said, to see some of this hard work, pay off, is also just as gratifying as it is difficult on the other end.
Among the players that are on the bubble, combined with recent practices and today's game, does any one or a few of them stand out to you as ones who may have?
Yeah, you know what, that's, I'm not gonna get into, any type of potential personnel, decisions. Those are things that we'll have to look at, over the next 48 hours and make those decisions.
What went into your usage of the kickers today? That was not a two-person, like you only had Blake kicking today. What?
Yeah, well, look, Charlie, had a little bit of some groin tightness come up on Friday, and I didn't want to really risk it too much and putting him out there and having him kick a bunch of kicks, and but I thought Blake responded to getting an opportunity and kicking the ball through the uprights. I mean, I thought he had a good day today.
And we didn't spot Colin Saunders.
Colin Saunders is dealing with a calf injury.
Isaiah Foskey, I don't know if we've asked you about him since the games. He hasn't had a lot of production in the games after he did take a step forward in practices. What's your overall view of how he's done last week?
Well, my overall view is I think he's taken a step forward, and yet I think there's still some things that he's got to improve on. I think, there's some things that he could potentially help us, in the passing game some. I certainly see a vision for this guy helping us on special teams. And so I think you still have a young player that still needs to develop. But I think he's taken a step forward from where he was, at this point last year.
You're talking about players that maybe were drafted versus UDFAs. Is it possible to separate that in terms of, the investment versus?
Well, look, I think this. I think you come into it probably with a little bit of a leg up, being that you were, a draft choice. But at the end of the day, we've got to evaluate what we see, and you have to be able to go out there and earn it, and so I guess probably if there was, using a baseball analogy, I'd say probably, the tie goes to the runner. So, if you spent assets to go and draft a player and there hasn't been anything that's really created a separation, then you probably get a little bit of the benefit, as being a draft choice. But, really the reality is, we've seen a lot of practices, we've seen a lot of game action, and we're going to base, our evaluation based on that.
I know you haven't looked at the film, but did you like what you saw out of Trevor Penning maybe, or any thoughts?
Yeah, look, it's hard for me to comment too much. I do think there was a few plays in there that I thought was an improvement, and so without looking at it, that the offensive line, defensive line, those are tougher evaluations just coming right off the field. But I thought overall, I know this. I know that I thought he played better than last week's game. I thought he improved this week in practice, and I saw some good things tonight too. So, I think there's some improvement being made.
Yeah, you talked about how the way that you guys did. Like, do you think that added to it at all? Like,
Say that again?
the way you guys challenged him by putting you in there, do you think that had any effect on maybe that improvement?
Probably a better question for him. You know what I mean? All I can tell you is that I felt like he played better in the game. I thought he had a good week of practice, and I thought he did some good things tonight.
What's thinking the coup is near the
Score. That's what was going through my mind. I mean, really, it was no blindside blocks, block above the waist, all of those things, and I mean, you can't let an offensive lineman get you out of bounds, right? That's a play that very rarely shows up in our game, but when you really think about it, like that's why we work that situation, because, the coverage unit is generally offensive linemen. Sometimes you might have a D lineman, tight ends. Those are the type of players, and so there's more skill players, on the return team at that time, and it's a space game, and that's not the game that those guys are used to playing in. But I thought their guy, did a nice job of, making the play and getting enough of him to get him out of bounds.
We actually ran about 150 yards on that play.
It was a lot. It was a lot. I think 150 is probably an underestimate of what he ran.
I was looking at the next gen stats.
Did it say 150?
153, something like that. But
It was a lot.
Ran almost the same amount.
Yeah.
if you look at it.
He needed just a little bit more juice at the end to get that block.
I think it was a tight end that got him. At least he was listed as a tight end as the international player from the Netherlands.
Yeah.
But how much weight does a play like that get when you're making evaluations on the roster?
Well, look, I mean, you're not going to look at that play and that play alone and say, okay, we're going to base all of our decision based on that play alone. And yet, that's part of however many plays we've seen. That's just part of the evaluation. Look, I think the positive thing about that is there was a lot of smart football that took place, on that play. And there was a competitive nature of, the guys that were on that unit and trying to score. So I think certainly was an exciting play, that's for sure.
Coach, you had 2 touchdowns called back by offensive holding penalties. As a head coach, how frustrating is that for you?
I think that's pretty obvious, right? I mean, you have 2 touchdowns and now you don't have 2 touchdowns. So yeah, that's frustrating. That's part of why we play, preseason games. We're trying to, iron some of those things out, and so it was unfortunate that that happened in the game.
Kibodi today, 2 touchdowns.
I thought he did a nice job. I thought he ran the ball really well today. I thought he ran it physical. I thought he made the right reads. I thought he did some good stuff.
Is he somebody who's kind of improved a bunch toward the back end of camp, where he was in the beginning?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think he's run the ball, pretty tough the last, call it week of training camp, and ran it hard in the game and was effective in the game. And so, I think he's done some good things.
Dennis talked about how Jake Anderson made strides in practice, but how has Spencer made strides during the games?
Well, he made some conversions. He made some nice throws. He made some good reads. He converted some things with his feet. He was poised under pressure, So I thought those were the things that I thought, he did in the game today that impressed me.
Yeah, how do you treat the next week? Do you still work on yourselves? Do you turn the page to Carolina?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of both of that going on. Obviously, these next couple of days, it's all going to be about roster management. And so that's where our focus will be over the next couple of days. I think being able to get a little recovery. I think this was a tough physical camp, and it was intended to be that way. And so part of this week is how do we refine some of the things that we're doing? How do we get an initial jump start, getting prepared for Carolina? And how do we get these guys back and ready physically, for the opening game?
It was using Tali Fuanga today. Was that just a fact of him not playing in that San Francisco game? You just kind of wanted to get more reps to him, or is he somebody who would have been playing?
He would have played. He would have played.
With Clint on the sideline versus up in the booth, how ultimately does that decision get made? Is it on him? Is it conversations
Well, ultimately, that'll be my decision. But yes, there'll be some conversations that'll be had. What did I like? What did I not like? What did he like? What did he not like? You know, what's best for our players? Like, there's a lot of things that are going to go into that decision. And so, you know, we'll communicate, you know, on that over the next week or so, and figure out what we're going to do for the opening game. And we might go one way in the opening game, and somewhere down the line we might decide we need to do something different. You know, I mean, that's just whatever we decide to do for week one is just kind of a starting point. All right, thanks, guys.
Shuttle back in and out, and then how do you feel like you handled that kind of not normal situation?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, just trying to keep your rhythm throughout the game, you know, going quarter by quarter. You know, I felt like as a group we did really good on, you know, I think we scored on every drive, a couple touchdowns and some, you know, field goals. So as a group we converted on third down much better and finished in the red zone and had more explosive plays, you know, ran the ball well, threw the ball down the field, and, you know, thought it was a good, efficient game.
Can you kind of walk us through that touchdown to St. Brown? Was that the zone they were in?
Yeah, they zoned it out. You know, the ball wasn't supposed to go there, but he made it. He ran a great route. I trusted him. You know, put it where I needed to, and he made a heck of a play. So, you know, that's how, you know, we're taught, play the play, but when you got to go above X's and O's, you got to, you know, improvise sometimes.
Spencer, you think you did enough to be the number 2 guy here?
You know, I just put my best foot forward. You know, wanted to come out here and play well, play clean, protect the ball, and lead our team to scores. You know, I'm controlling what I can. You know, that's not up to me to decide, but, you know, just putting my best foot forward.
How do you think you've grown through the 3 preseason games and this training camp?
Yeah, I think tremendously. I mean, you know, obviously still a rookie, still learning. You know, definitely want a few plays back from today, just on a couple underthrown balls. But, you know, I feel like I've taken steps where I need to, and obviously not anywhere near where I want to be. So continuing to strive for perfection every day.
Saw Derek talking to you after you threw that touchdown pass. What was he telling you following the drive?
Oh, he's just, you know, he's our biggest fan out there, which is why I love him. You know, great dude. You know, he was in my ear all game, you know, telling me what he saw, you know, what type of situations we're in. So to have a guy like that in the room, you know, is great. So he's awesome.
How much different is it coming off the bench as opposed to starting?
I mean, you kind of just got to do what you got to do. It's really not a big deal to me. Just whenever you step on the field, give your best foot. You know, put your best foot forward and go make plays. So, you know, I love to be on the field as much as I can, but you know, when we're out there, we got to execute.
Have you figured anything out about like how to stay sharp or ready, or you know, I'm assuming like the preparation's a little bit different given that like you know you're going in at a different time.
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, keeping your legs warm, and then just having somebody to throw with on the sideline. That's what I've done since youth football. You know, my dad's always like, you need to throw on the sideline. You need to throw on the sideline. So if you see me do that, just know I'm getting loose.
What do you think of Kibodi's day today?
He had a great day. You know, that's a guy that's been working his tail off all camp. You know, I'm really close with Kibodi. I'm happy for him. You know, happy he got 2 touchdowns today. He ran the ball really well, you know, protected well, and was running through some people. So I'm happy for him.
Any difference for you having played down on the sideline versus up in the booth?
I liked him on the sideline. You know, I thought he called a great game. You know, I thought he did a great job.
Mentioned Kibodi's day. We know that having an effective run game obviously helps the passing game, but just for you in your position, how does that help you mentality-wise when you have this run game that's, you know, kind of cooking throughout the day?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it on, you know, first and second down, if we could be in second and manageable, third and short from those runs, I mean, it's a lot easier to convert on third down. I feel like we didn't have too many, you know, third and longs today, and if we did, I feel like we converted, you know, at a pretty high rate. But when we're in those third and manageables, because we're running the ball so well, that opens up quick game, play actions, boots. I mean, you know, QB runs, all that stuff. So if we can run the ball, that makes it a lot easier to get first downs.
Spencer, where are you at in the offense comfortable do you feel with the playbook? And, you know, I'm sure you've been through it now multiple times.
Yeah, very, very comfortable, out there. Thought our operation was really clean. Up front, the guys did a great job today. In the O-line, running backs, receivers made plays. Everybody did well as a group today. Our operation was great. Our execution was great, and our communication was elite, I thought.
If you had to play in a regular season game, would you feel confident going in?
I would never say I'm not confident. I'm always confident, but again, I'm going to sit in my role, do what I need to do, and keep learning and getting better.
Have you thought at all about how you're gonna kind of attack the season and, try to develop it and all that stuff?
Yeah, just develop as much as I can. Learn from the guys in the room. Obviously, it starts with Derek. He's our guy, great player. So staying in his ear, working with him and Jake and our coaches, and just continuing to improve every day and get closer and closer with the team.
It's just something that's like hard for, I mean, not everybody who comes from college or they're a starter at college is going to be a starter in the NFL. So, like, you have to, I don't know, adjust your mindset, I guess, when you're kind of going into this situation.
No, I mean, I think this is a awesome situation to be behind somebody like Derek. I mean, he's a great guy. Again, a great vet who's proven in this league. I was in a situation similar at Oklahoma when Jalen Hurts was the starter, so very comfortable learning as much as I can and trying to help get guys better.
But I think that time behind Hurts helps you now with the transition behind Carr and maybe Hainer as well.
Yeah, I think just controlling what you can. That's what it comes down to, controlling the controllables. Like I said, earlier, playing your best ball when you have the opportunity to, helping your team. So that's all I try to do, for real. So just going out there and putting my best foot forward.
What did you think of playing in the Dome?
It was awesome. Great environment. Fans are awesome. Energy was high. You could feel it. It was great.
And speaking of playing in the Dome, what can you tell me about just the whole process of transitioning from college to the NFL over the course of the mini camps and training camp and these preseason games?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, speed of the game, playbook-wise. I mean, obviously there's going to be transitions and learning curves and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, football is football, and, you got to roll the ball out and make plays and execute. So you can't overthink it. So just play ball.
Is there like one or two things from like day one of rookie camp to now that you feel like I really got better at this, or I learned this, or this was eye-opening or anything like that?
I think just, communication. I think that's one of the biggest parts because you got to get out the huddle first very cleanly and get up to the line and operate. And then just handling situations in the game, 2 minutes, key critical situations to get us points. I think that's where you take steps as a player, and credit to our coaches and how we work at practice because we work those every day. So when you get in the game, you can't flinch.
Do you get a sense at all of the fan base and your kind of phenomenon, if you will, right now? Have you run into people in the city since you've been back?
Yeah, I mean, fan base is awesome here, obviously. Kind of reminds me of South Carolina, just loving fan base. Not the biggest market, but they die for their players, which is an awesome feeling. I try my best to stay out the way, social media and all the buzz and all that stuff. So I work here, I'm new, I'm a rookie. I'm just trying to get better, improve, help the team.
Do you have a hat guy? Like you always have these, like,
I got to keep it secret,
Anything else?
Thank you, guys.
Anfernee, how you feel just now that training camp preseason's over? What do you feel like what do you feel like you've kind of shown? What do you feel like you've kind of developed?
I feel like it was a great camp for me and for the team as well. Just being able to grow as a player. I feel like I'll be able to show my versatility, be able to play Mike, Will, and Sam in all these games and in practice. So I feel like I've done everything I could. Left it all out there, just trying to make plays and it's just fun to go out there and play ball again, so, yeah.
How big is the kind of mental shift when you're jumping from Mike, Will, Sam, with the mental shift like that?
the biggest mental shift is knowing which one I'm playing. Because, it could be one play I'm at Mike, and then next play I'm at Sam, next play I'm at Will. So just being able to know what position I'm in, I feel that's the hardest part. But the moment I know, like, all right, you're Mike here, then all right, then all my clicks, I get my know what to look for, know my keys, and just go out there and play.
You mentioned growing. I mean, obviously we can see it stands out. But where has that happened for you? Where do you feel it the most?
Mentally, I feel like it started throughout last season. Last season I was hurt. Like, I didn't make the 53, which on my own doing. Personally, I just didn't feel like I played well enough. And then throughout the whole season, didn't get activated. And then I was on practice squad, just got to learn, got to improve. So I was always ready to be up if my name was ever called, and I just looked to improve. So right when the season ended, I'm just, boom, hit the ground running this work. And just keep my trust in God. So I just been in the book way more, my playbook, my Bible, just trying to get down to it, get down to the mental game. And also my work with Jonna, just I feel like that's helped me tremendously.
Did not making the 53 kind of change things, like your approach? Like, was there just kind of like a catalyst for more? Like, was that kind of like a turning point for you?
I don't want to say a turning point for me, but it was like, I think it was God trying to tell me something like, don't try to take all the worry on yourself, because that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to put everything on my shoulders. She said, just give it to me. Like, be patient. Like, you'll get everything you can in due time. So the word says, seek the kingdom above all else, and he'll give everything you need. So that's what I'm working on doing, just seeking the kingdom above all else, and then see how everything else works out.
Yeah, how do you handle, obviously, you kind of just said it right there, but how do you handle the next few days? You feel like you've done enough to make the roster?
Yeah, I can't go back in time and change anything I've done. I feel like I've had a good camp. I feel like I've done everything I needed to do. So just prayer. That's what I'm going to do. Just pray, give it up to God, and hope for the best.
What do you think the next couple of days are going to be like, not only for you but for everybody?
I feel like it's just, you have the mindset that you're up, like, you know what I'm saying? So you just be ready as a football player for any opportunity. So I feel like you got to be positive in this time as a football player in this league. So you just got to be positive, and for guys who have faith, trust in God, because I feel like God has done amazing things in everyone's life. So just put your trust in him, and then I feel like everything will work out.
How much do you think being able to play all three spots kind of helps you just overall kind of having more of like a global view of the defense and everything?
I feel like it's helped me learn the defense like way more. I feel like I know the defense way better than last year. Like, just playing like Will, I know what's going on this side of the field, and then Sam, I know exactly what's going on that side of the field, and Mike, I'm more attuned with the fronts and then coverages and all that. So just being able to play all three has really made me a smarter football player and better football player.
Just like being in tune with the front and the coverage, like how does that help you in that spot? Like when you do know that a little bit better, like how does that change maybe what you do?
Yeah, so like I know I know the front right here, so I know if say if I have 3 tech in front of me, and I know that it's open A gap, then I know and my coverage is at 2, then I know like, all right, so if 2 is if the line blocks down, then I know, all right, I'm all on 2 because my run fit is not likely to come to me. So it's just little things like that, just knowing technique, how to play, and just being in tune with the game, really.
Were you green dot there?
Yes, yeah, for the first half, yeah, I had the green dot.
Is that a new experience today, or is that something you thought?
I had it in.
You've had them for all 3 games.
Yeah, I had it for all 3 games. I played Mike, Will, and Sam all 3 games, except for this game. I only played Mike, but the first 2 games was Mike, Will, and Sam. So having the green dot wasn't really new today.
What would it mean to you to make 53?
It would mean the world to me. It just mean that all the work I put in was not for nothing. Even if I don't, I feel like all the work I put in that isn't for nothing. Just I feel great about where I am as a football player, and I'm super positive for whatever happens. So, but obviously I'm praying for the 53. That's the goal. So. Thank you.
How you doing?
How do you feel about your performance today?
It was good. Got to score touchdowns, and I mean, that was a dream come true. You know what I mean? Being from Louisiana, that's a blessing. So everybody dreamed that as a kid.
Doing that in the Superdome, you started down the road there, but doing that in the Superdome here, what did that mean to you?
Everything. It's a blessing. Like, that's what you dream of, being here, being a kid from Louisiana. So
Do you have family?
definitely my mom's here and my brothers and everything. So it was, exciting.
The game ball, that's how you loved it?
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
Well, it was my first touchdown ball. So
Okay, so it wasn't like a game ball?
No.
Okay, got it. Just, how would you describe like your last couple of weeks? It seems like you kind of come on strong in practice and everything, and then to turn that into really good production in the game.
It's all about getting better, just working on the details of like my track on the outside zone, and just trying to just continue to grow as a player. You know what I mean? So I think I did that throughout camp. I just kept on growing as a player. So
Did you just did it also kind of settle down and maybe feeling like you belonged after?
definitely, I definitely feel like I belong. But just gotta keep working. See what happens. Praying for the best. But yeah, just keep working every day.
And just for someone like you who's just trying to make it, like how important is it to put like the good game film out there and have the 2 rushing touchdowns?
I mean, that's everything. That's what we watch as Saints, but also other teams around the league. That's what they watch as well. So you always want to go out there and have a good performance. So
You had on the first touchdown drive, you had 4 runs, 3 of them were double-digit runs. What was working for you throughout that drive?
I credit the O-line and receivers blocking and the coaching. Calling the right plays.
Have you gotten much time with Kyle Hergel?
Man, speaking of Kyle, we were just talking about it. So actually, we both were like late additions to the Shrine Bowl, and our lockers were right next to each other. And then we came here and we're like, bro, what? You know what I mean? It was crazy, but that's my guy. He did a great job today. Opening up holes and everything. So that's my guy.
What did you think of Spencer's day?
I mean, he's spectacular. He's full of talent. Y'all saw it out there. The throw he made to EQ. I mean, it's crazy. You know what I mean? So he's full of talent.
What was he like in the huddle?
He has a swagger about him that uplifts everybody that's around him. So that's what I say about him. That's the biggest thing.
You showed a bit of a blend today of finesse and then a little bit of power, especially on that second touchdown run. Just with this running scheme, how do you feel that it kind of?
The goal is to be like a balance back, so showing finesse and power with speed, and then and also just so it allows you to be a complete back. You know what I mean? So it allows you to show all your your skills. So.
Speaking of that, how much pride do you take in a little bit of pass protection every now and then in the back?
Oh, you have to. You have to. If you're a running back, you have to pass protect to be in the NFL. So we work on that every day. So that's a big thing.
Is that something you've always kind of made sure was a part of your game, or did you have to kind of learn that at some point?
I think it's something that all backs have to learn because growing as a kid, you just want to get the ball and go score touchdowns and everything. But you have to learn how to pass protect.
Where did that reality kind of set in for you?
College, definitely college.
Did you ever get a chance to play in the Dome in high school or UL or anything like that?
I did in high school. I went to UL and we had 2 bowl games here, and I wasn't able to play in them. It's crazy, but I played now, and I told myself, God, save this moment for me right now. So I'm glad I was able to come out here and have a good showing.
Not crazy you had to wait this long.
I know, right? Yeah. But it was worth it though.
Jacob, what's the rest of the day look like? You got your friends and family in town. You had 2 touchdowns today. Y'all having a dinner to celebrate? How's the rest of the day go for you?
We're definitely gonna go probably have dinner and celebrate. Definitely.
How do you approach the next couple of days as you kind of wait to see how the roster decisions kind of shape out?
I mean, it's out of my control now. You know what I mean? It's in God's hands. So all I can do is pray and hope for the best.
Jacob, is there a reserve spot you got tonight? I mean, like, where are we going to eat tonight?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet, but we want to eat good though for sure.
I gotta know where he's eating.
You mentioned how much it was a dream come true to score a touchdown here. Talked about leaving it in God's hands when it comes to 53, but just for you, being from here, how much would it mean to make this 53-man roster?
Man, it means everything. I mean, again, I used to be a kid here watching, like Deuce and Reggie and Drew Brees play, Marcus Colston, you know what I mean, as a little kid. So now that I'm on the team, to make the team, it would be just, a dream come true.
Which one of those guys did you model your game after at that time?
All of them. I'm a big fan of Reggie Bush, but also Deuce, like the power of Deuce and, the finesse of Reggie. I definitely want to have both of them, so definitely.
Was that cool to be a part of the moment before the game too, with like kind of all the local guys?
Definitely. That was a cool moment. It was, all the local guys. It was led by Tyron, but, it was a great experience.
You checked a lot of experience boxes today.
I did. I did. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate it.